A Grammy-winning music empire, along with highly produced podcasts and a TV channel.
You're still a carrier of God's Spirit.
Charismatic, young, and fashionable leaders and celebrity attendees, from Justin Bieber to Vanessa Hudgens to Chris Pratt. Not what you might expect from church on a Sunday, but it's why Hillsong has grown into one of the most influential megachurches in the world and one of the most controversial.
You know who's going to give you peace? It's going to be the expert. His name is Jesus.
Its popularity exploded in the U.S. with the high profile of the, quote, celebrity pastor, Carl Lentz, whose recent downfall has triggered a wave of scandals for the church Brian Houston created in Australia more than 30 years ago.
What has this season in the church been like for you?
I think it's been difficult, clearly, because a lot of disappointment in some of the things that have emerged.
Get your mind right. There's hope for you yet.
Lentz founded the East Coast branch of Hillsong in 2010, drawing stars in like Justin Bieber, who Lentz baptized in an NBA player's bathtub. But it all came crashing down last fall when Lentz was fired and admitted to an affair, writing on social media, "I am deeply sorry for breaking the trust of many people." A woman who says she was his mistress speaking soon after.
He keeps saying, I manage celebrities and I travel with them. He didn't want to say what he does.
And more allegations of unusual behavior for a pastor followed.
People described Carl Lentz as somewhat aloof and removed from the actual ministry. They say he would come in a chauffeured car, wait in a green room, come do a sermon and depart. Does that bother you?
It does to a degree, for sure. Look, Carl was Carl. He's a unique character. There's a lot of things I miss about Carl. But having said that, there were leadership issues that I believe included lying, included what I would call narcissistic behavior.
Should you have known earlier? Should you have done something earlier about the leadership of Hillsong?
I think there's a lot of things I should have known earlier, and hopefully moving forward we'll make sure we have far better systems in place and better accountability.
You see this pastor with the VIP row palling around celebrities. How come he didn't come down harder and say, not in my church, no way? How does this reflect the message I'm trying to preach?
There's another side to it. I mean, one person who's obviously been well reported is Justin Bieber. If you think back several years now, when he was wrecking hotel rooms and basically on the edge of getting deported to Canada, there was certainly talk about that, and living an out-of-control life with abuse of drugs and so on. And look at Justin Bieber today. Anyone who's been fair could see a radical change. And so not everything about it is bad.
No, I guess the question is whether the celebrities got better treatment, more attention.
Yeah, I do think that we did allow a culture to develop where it was one rule for celebrities and a different rule for other people.
I'll give you the cynical view that as long as Carl was attracting press, bringing more members into Hillsong, that you were okay with that. You knew what was going on, but you were okay with that. What do you say to those who believe that?
I find it annoying that people thought that it was important to me and my wife Bobby to attract famous people to church.
Let me ask you to respond to one idea that has been out in the press a lot. One former staffer said Carl was a mini you, a mini Brian Houston. What do you say?
I mean, on one level, if people say Carl was like me, I'd see it as a compliment because incredibly gifted guy. But on another level, I don't think Carl really is anything like me.
What about the notion of you as the head of the church and the pastor of the church, but being a rarefied presence and waiting in the green room before the sermon, or not really being terribly approachable? Does any of that ring true to you?
Well, to a degree, yes, but I'll give perspective to it. Mostly before you speak, you're preparing and you've got to keep your heart right and you don't want distractions. I am ultimately responsible. I am ultimately accountable.
The firing of Lentz in New York opened the floodgates for Hillsong. In the months that followed, a senior staffer in New Jersey resigned over what a church spokesperson says was an inappropriate message on social media. Hillsong announced its pastors in Dallas resigned. The church there closed. A letter to New York leadership in 2018 surfaced alleging abusive behavior by church leaders. Other former congregants from Australia to the U.S. told Today some volunteers were overworked.
In my mind, if one person is treated badly, that's one too many. If it's true that people have been treated badly or that people have been bullied, I am 100% committed to moving that out of our church.
Does it make you look inward and say, whoa, I'm a pastor. What happened here?
I have reflected many, many times. I'm acknowledging that mistakes have been made and that there are things where we need to get far better, much better. I'm not shrinking back from that.
Have you thought about maybe this church is too big, the problems reflect that, then it's time to downsize or take a different approach?
Yeah, I'm not sure a church can be too big. I just think we have to grow into ourselves. And God's on your side.
Beyond the scandals, Hillsong is facing the cultural tensions of a rapidly expanding evangelical Christian church in a society where norms are changing quickly.
Gay members of Hillsong have had difficult experiences, some who have said they've even felt suicidal after their experiences. Why do you think that has happened?
Look, I want us to get better at the way we communicate and embrace and work with people who are gay. I don't have any personal bias at all against gay or lesbian people, but unfortunately as a pastor you don't represent what you think, you represent what the Bible says. And so at this point we still are conservative on the subject of active gay relationship, etc. But it's a journey, but everyone's welcome. Many, many people who are gay come to Hillsong Church.
Now, for the church itself, it's a season of finding redemption.
Churches can come in all kinds of sizes and shapes and flavors, but you see the lights, you see the music, you do see the pretty people. Do you ever think about what Jesus would have felt like sitting in Hillsong Church?
Honest answer?
Yes.
I think he would like it. Because I think we're focusing on glorifying him.
I spoke to quite a few parishioners. What is your message to those who love this church and are heartbroken about what's happened?
Those are the things that keep me awake at night. I think larger churches everywhere are needing to scramble to put the things in place for a 21st century mindset that enable us to be stronger. But, Savannah, I look in your eye and tell you, I genuinely believe in my heart Hillsong is a good church.
Really interesting conversation. We covered a lot of ground. They have changed the leadership of Hillsong New York. And so, you know, the hope for the church is that they've addressed the issues that were starting there and that they can move forward.
It was fascinating to hear him talk. But because to your point, Hillsong is emblematic of a lot of churches in this country right now. But his response to whether a church can be too large. No.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, and it's like, it's just a question that one ponders, because he talked a lot about how, you know, you need to have those structures in place. You need to have the accountability and all these measures. It almost sounds like you're talking about a corporation, a big corporation, but a large church is a large institution. And he said many times he felt these were growing pains. The church, though, is, you know, 3 decades old. So we'll continue to follow it, but, you know, real candid conversation.
Yeah, indeed. All right.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.